Deputy Chancellor, Emeritus Professor Gillian Palmer, or Jill Palmer as we know her, has made major contributions in the areas of social science, employment and industrial relations and organisational theory. She only recently retired after many decades working in management and labour relations fields in both private and public sectors, as well as her distinguished career in the university sector. Professor Palmer commenced her career in the United Kingdom, where she used her background in political sociology to analyse the radical changes in British public policy on industrial relations. Her research and writings were noted for innovation in the analysis of changes of employment relations and human resources in the context of academic debates about various forms of liberalism and neo-corporatism. She contributed significantly to public policy change made in the United Kingdom following what was a very significant Royal Commission known as the Donovan Commission in the 1970s. She had early promotion in both the London School of Economics and then at the Cass School of Business in London. She was elected to the Executive Committee of the British Universities Industrial Relations Association, and she was also an important part of the British government's work through the Commission on Industrial Relations in London. After moving to Australia in 1984, Professor Palmer commenced her extensive Australian university career. At what is now the Queensland University of Technology, she was the founding director of the Australian Research Council Key Centre in Strategic Management. She then moved to the University of Wollongong as head of the Department of Management and then Dean of Commerce. She was elected President of the Australian and New Zealand Academy of Management and the President of the Association of the Industrial Relations Academics of Australia and New Zealand. Professor Palmer commenced at Monash University in 2000 as the very first female dean, indeed still the only female dean, of the Faculty of Business and Economics. As dean, she was responsible for the first international accreditation of the business school with Equus when in 2005 the faculty gained a 5-year accreditation. Professor Palmer successfully led the demerger of the faculty with the Mount Eliza Business School and the major development of the faculty across what are its multiple domestic and international campuses. I should say that Professor Palmer continued and continues to this day to serve with Equus, which is the European Business Accreditation Council, serving in reviews across the world. Professor Palmer moved to the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology to be the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Vice President of the College of Business in 2008. In this role, she had a focus on international education and sought to ensure that diverse student cohorts were integrated and provided with an internationally relevant education. She was then appointed the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic of RMIT in 2010 and continued in this role until 2014, becoming after that the Vice Chancellor and President of RMIT between 2014 and 2015. During her time at RMIT as Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, she led the development of innovative curriculum and pedagogy, including a strong focus on work-integrated learning, as well as a significant enhancement of the student experience. As I said, she's continued in her role improving business education across the world, being a reviewer and accreditor for global institutional accreditation of business and management schools through the Northern European agency Equus. Professor Palmer is currently an Emeritus Professor at the University of Wollongong and an Honorary Professor at RMIT. Deputy Chancellor, it gives me the greatest pleasure to present to you for admission to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, Gillian Patricia Palmer.
With the authority of Council, I admit you, Gillian Patricia Palmer, to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. I now have much pleasure in inviting Emeritus Professor Palmer to deliver the graduation address.
Deputy Chancellor, Dr. Christine Nixon. President and Vice Chancellor, Professor Margaret Gardner, thank you very much for those words. It's an honour and a great privilege to receive a Monash University honorary degree, and I'm very proud to accept it, especially as I very much enjoyed the time I spent working here within the faculty at Monash University. Today I'd like to address the new graduates and talk about your possible futures. You're here with your new diplomas, about to go out into the world with new skills. Your Monash education should make you better equipped to build both your own lives and your contribution to others. How will it go? What can you expect your futures to look like? Of course, I can't tell you, but from my experience, I'll give you a few ideas to think about. In 1984, I was in my late 30s, and for family reasons, I left my job, network of professional contacts in Europe, to come to the ends of the earth, as my friends saw it, arriving in Queensland without a job. I had advantages. Speaking English was an important advantage many migrants don't share. My education and working experience in London provided skills that could be developed and adjusted, and I benefited from great support from several people in Australian universities. But I had left behind family, friends, professional networks, and a skilled specialisation that had less value in my new environment. I'd just published my first academic book, which I'm told was the main display in the window of Heathrow Airport's bookshop soon after I left. But that book was not that relevant in the Queensland I reached. Instead, I experienced, and I think benefited from, the need to adjust to the unexpected. So my message is, expect the unexpected. There'll be unexpected things that you like and can benefit from, and others that you won't. But the unexpected is likely to happen, and your education should put you in a position to adjust and find the benefits. What are your expectations? You may have very clear ideas about the career you will build, the family you want, where you will work, etc. Or you may, like me at your age, have given it very little thought and basically have no idea. Either way, you will probably find yourself, when you are my age, trying to remember the complex web of circumstances that got you to where you end up. I think the reason I had given my future little thought was because I and my sister were the first in our family and social group to go to university. We had no role models, what it meant, or where it could lead. I'm lucky that Britain's post-war 1945 Education Act had introduced a radical new policy that put public money into education, so that in my time the British government paid fees and living expenses right through degrees to master's programs, if you were one of the only 4% in my time who gained university admission. So your generation is quite right to note that in this respect we 4% were very lucky. Career expectations for girls were still limited, so I was advised that a social work course would be appropriate. My expectation of a career in social work lasted about a year, as I found other subjects much more stimulating, and I was able to switch to take a degree in economics, politics, and sociology, still with no idea what career it would lead to. I couldn't have predicted that I would become the first woman to gain a master's degree in industrial administration at London School of Economics, that would lead on to 2 research jobs at LSE, which then enabled me to work for a British Royal Commission in Industrial Relations, which was mentioned. I'm afraid I didn't quite have the role of Edwina Orr in our recent Banking Royal Commission, but my experience was a great experience in an organisation that acted as a state-funded management consultancy. I later set up my own consultancy, taught in what is now Cass Business School in London, and spent my mid-30s writing that book. So by mid-career, I thought I was on a stable path as a London-based academic and business consultant, specialising in British government policy on labour relations, settled with a marriage and baby son. But expect the unexpected. You're going to find that it isn't just career shifts and personal choices that take unexpected turns. There are wider social changes that will shape and redirect your path. Today, we all know that artificial intelligence and information technology are bringing exponential change. There was a different technological change that had a major impact on my generation and benefited particularly women. That change was the contraceptive pill. I did not expect to benefit from the opportunities that pill gave women to control their fertility and therefore help develop careers. Of course, this has increased competition for men and challenged traditional male roles in ways that didn't have social support, sometimes still doesn't. It takes time for societies to adjust to such disruptions. When I moved to Queensland, I experienced a related culture shock. I had experienced some sexism in London, but took it for granted, as I think one can of a culture you grow up in. The then Queensland Premier, Joe Bjelke-Petersen, was a powerful conservative force, and I met many Queenslanders who assumed and hoped he would become Australia's next Prime Minister. Trying to understand this very different culture, I read literature that introduced me to new ideas as I shifted my work into new areas of management. I also learned that cultures can change, and remembering that past, I think it impressive that Queensland now has a woman Premier, several female Vice-Chancellors, and that a Queensland lawyer became our first, and so far only, female Governor-General. My last example of unexpected change affects our shared discipline area, the business discipline. When I went to college, management and marketing were not much taught, certainly not as separate degrees. We didn't know that globalization would drive the international student market, largely in the management, marketing and finance areas. As the Vice-Chancellor mentioned, I now visit business schools worldwide as an international auditor for accreditation, and I can see the growth of business schools and their international focus as one of globalization's benefits, with its capacity to drive understanding and trust between nations. It's a growth with great advantages for Australia and Melbourne. The business school accreditation system is aware that there are challenges to globalization and to the reputation of business school education when global financial crises or management scandals occur. We try to address this by demanding the teaching of ethics. I think it could also help if our current degrees gave more attention to the importance of pluralism, its impact on social structures, and on the exercise of power in our world. In the education I was given, politics, economic history, and macroeconomics had more prominence, and perhaps this can help. A McKinsey report on the recent rise of geostrategic risks has also advocated a greater understanding of macro and political issues. Some of you graduating today are likely to become business academics. If you do, see if you can fix this one for us. I didn't expect to end up in the beautiful and ancient country of Australia. I didn't expect to be blessed with grandchildren living near me because my son insisted he would never contribute to the overpopulated world. But this year, he became the proud father of his third beautiful boy. The unexpected has served me very well. My message is, expect the unexpected, and know that shifts in location, culture, or your needed skills can be very stimulating. The future is yours. You've succeeded in completing your course and achieving your new graduate status, and I congratulate you. You'll know that your families, friends, and this university all are very proud of you. Your future is likely to be subject to disruption and unexpected change. With your Monash degrees, go well.